That's a really interesting story where Remlin's friends essentially caught wind of the fact that he was preparing a flap anatomy, and they got really excited about it.
When you say flap anatomy,
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean?
Well, we're about to see, but essentially, it's a way of taking a two-dimensional object and creating some three-dimensionality, so that you can get a sense of the three-dimensionality of the body's anatomy. So it's layering different flaps that have been printed with different bits of anatomy, so that when you start peeling away the flaps and the layers, you can dig down into the different parts of the anatomy of the human body. Then, so
How
that
old is this, Damien? This practice of
flaps and movable bits and bobs. That's pretty old. I mean, medieval manuscripts definitely had movable parts. Vovels are a great example. Those are movable dials that would be used for different reasons. In this particular case, when you're talking about flap anatomies, probably more prevalent in printed works. Like I said, prior to this, so this is 1619. Prior to this, you'd find individual examples. So, for example, in Bartusch's book on ophthalmology, he's got a couple of pages with a few flaps on them. One is again going through an eyeball, and the other one is you're sort of starting at the top of the skull, and then you're working your way down through
could
the
you
layers of the
flip that
brain.
while you're talking?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So 1613.
Looks like Shakespeare. A picture of
Yeah,
Shakespeare.
he's got that big ruffled collar on there.
So Elizabethan.
Yeah, he gets really, his friends get really excited about the fact that he's making this flap anatomy, and so they approach him and really pester him to try and get it printed and get it out there.
Say his name again. Who was it?
Johann Rimland is his name.
Johann Remlund.
Yeah, but he didn't really feel like it was ready, and so he didn't want to publish it yet. But they pestered him enough. Finally, he just said, "Here, take this. Don't put my name on it. Just print it if you want to, but it's really not ready for prime time yet." And so they did, and so that was in 1613. But then by 1619, he felt like he had the book that he wanted, and so that's what this book is here, the 1619 edition. Give me 1 second to grab a spatula here or a bone folder. So again, the idea is you have these different flaps on here, these movable parts that try and provide some three-dimensionality in a two-dimensional space. So you start to see some of the layers of the tissues, fascia, muscles. Eventually, you get to organs and things like that. But it's just several layers of different parts here. And we have on this particular page, you have a male model, female model, pregnant female model, which is just focused on the
Does
pregnancy.
the stomach open of the pregnant female?
It
model?
does. There's several little flaps here, like again an eyeball here, and yes, this does open up. We've got a couple of modesty panels here.
Yeah, I noticed the fig leaf.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But here we can start to dig through various layers here. You can see the placenta.
who do you think inspired this, or why was this inspired? Because they couldn't get any real people to accept dead people to show parts, or
Yeah, so as far as I know, it's a combination of things. Bodies were definitely hard to come by. So oftentimes they would
would you mind keeping going with the flaps while you
Sure.
talk?
Yeah, contracting with prisons to get prisoners who died or who were executed. You might, some folks might have provided,
Their bodies.
free medical care in exchange if they happen to die. the anatomists would get their body. Sometimes there was grave robbing. So, yeah, it kind of depended. But bodies were hard to come by. And also, certainly, the closer to the Mediterranean and Europe you got, it was, not something you wouldn't want to be dissecting in the summer months or when it was warmer. You would really want to do dissections when it was colder or somewhere where you could keep it cold. So again, this is a nice sort of two-dimensional analog for that experience. It doesn't, completely substitute for
The anatomy of
having
a
a
real.
body for dissection. But if you needed to try and get a sense of things, this was a good way to start. This one's a little trickier. We got a lot of modesty panels. And for these bigger ones, when you start getting into the body cavity, you actually, there are some loose bits which you could take out and get a closer look at. We're obviously very happy that, as far as we can tell, all of the
Are
individual
intact.
parts are intact here, so we haven't lost them, which is great. Just have to put them back together here.
So the only sustainable part to this is the covers and things that they might have used that were already in bad shape, right? They didn't use that for making their bodies or anything like that, the structures.
No, that would have been, original paper, created and then used to print the individual bits that you see here. Again, a lot of modesty panels here. In the 1661 edition that we have over in the exhibit, the German edition, that one on the female model, the modesty panel was actually glued down. I guess at some point someone had decided that was not something anyone needed to be taking a look at.
Great way to study fetuses in the body.
Well, again, when you don't have access to a body to dissect, this was a good way to start. And you can see again these individual either organs or organ systems that are in here that you could take out and take a closer look at.
How much were these books used, do you think?
Well, I guess it would kind of depend on who bought it and what they would want to do with it. There's some speculation that this book might have been more as a
Display.
showcase piece rather than strictly for anatomical study. But I'm sure it was used for that purpose.
Could you flip again?
Yeah. So this is the last model in here.
Okay.
And again, we've got different little systems and things out here that you can dig through. But yeah, that's the last model. So you've got the main sheet, which is the there's a male model, female model, and then the pregnant model, and then there's the full male model, and then there's the full female model.
Okay, and that's it.
Yeah, that's what's represented in here.
And this cover is the restructured old book cover.
Yes, yeah. So it's repurposed material in that book.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's really, when
The structure of it, that's really what all these books are about.
Yeah, so when people talk about flap anatomies, this is really, I mean, this is the OG. This is what people really think about as a starting point. It's
When you say OG, what do you mean?
it's the original. So it's
Okay.
um,
Do you have anything
it's
else?
really what inspired a lot of the stuff that came after it. But I can show you a few things
Yeah, I
that
would like.
came before it to give you a sense of what inspired Remelin.
Okay.
So we have here a book by Andreas Vesalius.
Italian?
No, he was actually from Brussels, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, he published a book in 1543, and that is a much thicker volume. This is what's called the Epitome, and this really was meant to be a study guide. These were heavily used. They're pretty hard to find, especially intact. I think ours are, existing pieces that came from, or pages, folios, leaves that came from other things, and then were put together in this book here.
But this didn't have any anatomical structures in it, or it did?
So what it had were these very large, sort of extra large anatomical illustrations, and you can see them here. And then in the True Anatomy book that he made, there was a page. It was almost like a paper dolls kind of situation where you could cut out different organs and things like that, and then paste them onto the body. And so,
Is there an example of that, or?
yeah. So in here, and again, just some really amazing woodblock illustrations in here.
Hang on one second. I want to
Yeah,
get
sure.
I want to actually get the male and the female body next to, not body, but people next to each other. Okay.
Get some
That's the nerves, and
yeah. So here you can see the sheet where you could, if you wanted to, cut out the various organs and stick them together on the body. So you're figuring out where these things go.
So the organs on the side are then could be cut out,
Yeah, and
and then
you
you
could,
apply them on the body,
yeah. So then
the nerve structure.
yeah. So then right here, what we're seeing is a lot of the vessels and things like that. And then you've got the lungs and some of the body cavity there. And then, yes, so you could cut these out and you could place them in, you could tip them in so they're like flaps so that you could see where each of these pieces fits within the body here.
Okay.
So again, this is the Epitome. It's from 1543.
This seems clearer or more pronounced a nervous system structure than the one before it.
This one looks like it has a little more wear.
Okay.
But
This one's quite clear.
and yeah, so you're seeing vessels and arteries here, veins and arteries. It's also you have again a female versus male body here.
Oh, one of them is male and one of them is female, huh?
Yeah. But same idea.
Same structure.
You cut things out, and you can put them
Make
on.
your own flap book.
Make your own flap book. Yeah. Yep. So that's from 1543. We also have this is because the Bartish book is over in the exhibit. This is a facsimile of the Bartish.
And who's Bardish?
He was a German ophthalmologist physician. He really, helped found the specialty of ophthalmology, but focusing on the
This
eyes.
looks like a clown figure.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. If we take a look here. So here's an example of
The eyeball.
flap eye structure here.
Oh, wow.
You can see it's got different layers of the eyeball, which you can go through. So you're not, it's not a full anatomy, but you're getting a sense of what the eyeball looks like. And then there's also, this book actually has just some amazing illustrations, period.
Even though it's a oh, look, there's, yeah.
So this is a facsimile of the book that we have. And you can see, so it starts at the top of the skull, and then you can start making your way down through the layers of the brain.
Wow, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
Is that the only one? Are there more
It's
in there?
just the two in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that's because, this is from, this one is from 1583. And so you've got 1543 epitome. You can see that flap idea. You've got 1583 here. You can see that flap idea put together in this particular book. And then, by the time you get to Remlin, 1619, that's where he's putting it all together into one whole giant anatomy that's focused on the entire body. We also have, let's see.
Where would you say these books were kept? In a library or in how would they access them? That's
Sure.
what I'm asking. Like,
Yeah.
where were they kept? They were made, and then medical students, obviously, or doctors looked at them, right?
Yeah,
And-
so, I mean, they could have been personal libraries.
Okay,
They could
okay.
have been university libraries. We do have, some of the items that we have were held by libraries at one point, and so you can see library marks in the books. Sometimes they are more of a, public academic library. Sometimes they're a private library. And sometimes it's a personal library, so you see someone's ex libris in the books. It just kind of depends.
Okay, if somebody couldn't come here, like I have the great privilege of doing, and have you explain to me keep going if you don't mind, looking at, right? Is there anything online where people could see some of these structures or books or, like the Biological Heritage Library has a lot of botanical things from the
Sure.
books you can download and look at, and
Yeah, so it will depend on the institution. So, for example, we have the Iowa Digital Library, which has some of our materials
collections.
digitized on there. Otherwise, there's the National Library of Medicine. They have a substantial digitized collection.
Could you pull the flap
how many,
down and over again, or the next flap? Or?
Sure. How many flap anatomies they have? I don't know. There's also the Wellcome collection out of England. So they're all going to have pretty substantially digitized collections. Of course, the issue with a flap anatomy is trying to get a sense of that three-dimensionality. So, like for our exhibit, we created little GIFs or videos so that people could see how the flaps were actually manipulated, and you could get a sense of that three-dimensionality then. But yeah, just taking a two-dimensional photograph, you could peel back layers and things like that, so you get a sense of things, but not necessarily the movement or the motion or anything like that.
And then these books would just have like one or two images or more images, or how did that work? Like, would they have a whole book of body parts, like head, eye, or was it all just
Well, here.
you have two things and that's it? And
So again, it kind of depends. So like with Remelin, he was really trying to show the whole body.
right,
With Bartusz, he's really just trying to talk about the eyeball
Okay.
and the eye, system. With Vesalius, he was focusing mostly on organ systems and placement of those.
so they're specialized.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then the further along you get, we've got a couple books here that are a little bit later, human eye and human ear. So these are very much focused on regional anatomy, and these are going to incorporate more, maybe what we would think of as anatomical flaps from, from our experience with books. So you get to see more of these sort of plastic transparency type things.
When would you say this was done?
Well, I can. Oh, look at that bookmark. That's fun. Um, 1943 is.
Okay,
this
so
one.
that's why the mylar or
Mhm,
plastic.
yeah, we're at mid-century now, and so we're incorporating different materials. You're seeing, much more color at this point because we're much later than the earlier stuff. But it's the same idea, right? You're digging through the different layers.
Do you
of
think
the-
they were influenced? Did they know about these books?
Oh, for sure.
The flip books?
Yeah. I mean, once once Remelin did his thing, that inspired many others to start making their own type of flap anatomy books. A lot of the flap anatomies that came after Remelin really riffed heavily on Remelin, so they either borrowed directly, or maybe you could say it was more of an homage to Remelin. So this is the ear now, and you can see again more plastic flaps here to get a sense of the anatomy, and much more detailed at this point.
Of course.
Clearly, yeah.
With much more information
Yes,
with
yeah,
science as
yeah,
it moved
yeah.
along.
And that's really the beauty of the anatomical flap is, even though it's a two-dimensional object, you get this real density of information, which is great.
I remember I looked at, talking about human anatomy, there was a man who had given his body to science, and they had cut it in little pieces and little slices all the way to the top. I don't know what it's called, but I had seen it. It was a literal anatomical model. Do you have other books, or
Oh yeah,
are we ending?
I got a couple here.
Okay. Which is interesting because it goes through, I mean, it's like they've been studying the anatomy of, like you said, the body parts came from prisons and things like that.
Yeah.
And then this man who had given his, that seems very frail.
This one is, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is 19th century in 1858, I think, Robert Knox. But even though this is so great, it has this really great esophagus, trachea with the mouth and head there, and then you've got your body
The
cavity,
hidden
body
structure
cavity.
of-
head.
Yeah.
So I have the
He's
know,
called something. The man, some kind of man. He has a title.
well, what I have up here are like the 16th, 17th,
Rare,
18th
right.
century version of what we have downstairs on the
This
third
was in
floor.
the 20th century.
Yes. So we have something called the annadora-arts table on the third floor, which is a different example of what you're talking about. Rather than having a physical model, they're digital,
Right.
and they essentially took digitized slices, MRI type slices of four cadavers, and lots and lots of high fidelity images that they took, very small slices, so you can
Exactly.
really get a
They
sense of
actually
the anatomy.
literally sliced this man from
Yes,
bottom
yeah,
to the top.
and that was an older way of doing, plasticating the human tissue and then slicing it. And so digitally, that's essentially what the anatomage table does. And then from 19th century and before, that's what you see here.
Paper doll for medicine.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, this looks like an old one, though.
Oh, this is 19th century again.
Okay.
Called
And then
myology.
just let me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is just a much larger version of some of the things that we were looking at. You gotta love the title page. But
Good graphics.
as you go through, you get more of this type. Let me see if I can find my spatula. Oh, here it is.
Okay.
Now we're focusing on regional anatomy of the arm, but just a ton of detail here as you're going through, and you get a sense of not only the the kind of thing you're looking at, but where it goes in the
In
structure.
relation.
Yeah, to other things, which is great. And then eventually you get down, to the bone here, and then the same thing with the upper arm, and then into the shoulder here.
The muscles and the shoulder blade.
Mm-hmm.
Does the other side? Could you open the flap?
Sure, yeah. Same, very similar idea. Working your way down to the bone. Yeah. Oh, these are actually leg bones. You can see the
Knee.
hip there. Hip up here.
Okay, well, that's a
down.
leg bone, so
Yeah.
we got that one wrong. I got that one
Here's
wrong.
lower leg. So that was the upper leg. Here's the lower leg. And so you can go through the.
I just flunked my anatomy test.
Well, that's all right. I just work with the books. I'm not really a content
You're not going to
expert.
operate on these books, are you?
No.
Good for you. Shows a man of taste.
And it really, you can really get in there. There's several layers here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but lots and lots of layers of muscle tissue and
And
connective
where are
tissue.
we? Which?
Now we're in the arm here,
Okay.
upper arm.
Sorry if I'm invading your space, but I want to get as close as I can.
Some of these are pretty small. And they're pretty tucked in here. You can really get down in there.
These are fabulous. These are really, really fabulous.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at the exhibit, which is in the main library, you have so much that when I looked at it, I was overwhelmed. So I was like, I have to see this, but I need to see it, you know? Like,
Okay. Why do you not want to come up? Stay on this side. So this is very similar to the body cavities we saw before from the Rimlin. It's just obviously in color and much more detail. And then eventually you would get, down into the body cavity then. There we go. Let's see the back. Let's see the spine parts here.
in the rib cage.
Mm-hmm. And now here we get the face with just a lot of,
Detail.
yeah, a lot of flaps. Trying to get a sense of what's up here. And then you've got the, different parts of the face. More of the back, upper back here.
I think the body that I'm talking about was the first of its kind. It was like the man who had donated his, he was in life in prison or put to death or something, and donated his body to science, was the first example of having sliced the body,
Gotcha.
you know, just like this. They went layer by layer by layer.
Yeah.
And there was a digital, and I think the first digital copy of it, or the first digital actually studying that, made for medical students, of course. And of course, I couldn't resist looking at it. So is that what you had?
That's what we have left here. A good number of items, like I said, are still over in the main library because of the exhibit. Yeah.